Hi folks, today we are going to talk about day 2 or part 2 of curve fitting with quadratic models. So you're going to need to make sure you have your calculator handy, and you're going to want to make sure that you have something to write with, because you're probably going to need to write down some of these steps so you don't forget how to do them. As you are going through this video, I want you to do the steps along with me so you can really get an idea of what it is you need to do in your calculator. Also, feel free to stop the video at any point just to make sure that you understand how to use the calculator. You can go back and rewind it and play it again. Pause it to take some notes or do whatever you need to do, because you need to know how to do all the stuff within your calculator. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about quadratic models. If you remember in that last chapter that we did, we were doing linear models, right? We had those word problems and we put stuff into the lists in our calculator, and we did the stat plot and found the equation and the R value, which was our correlation coefficient. So we did all that last time. We're going to be doing that same thing, except this time we're going to be doing it with quadratic models. So it's going to be pretty similar to what we did before. We're just going to be using a few different things within the calculator itself. So let's look at this first example. This is talking about the cost of circular plastic wading pools, and the cost is based on the diameter of the pool. And it says to find a quadratic model for the cost of the pool given the diameter, and use this model to estimate the cost of the pool with a diameter of 8 feet. So that second part we'll do after we figure out what our quadratic model is. So make sure you have your calculator. If you don't have it, pause the video, go get it, because I want you to do this along with me. Okay? Alright, so in your calculator, you want to make sure you're at your home screen. If you just hit second and then mode, which is right next to the second key, you'll clear out your home screen. In order to do any of these modeling type problems in your calculator, you need to turn your stat plot on. If you see above the y equals, it says stat plot in orange or yellowish letters. So if you hit second y equals, you'll see that first one is highlighted there. It says stat plots and then 1. You want to press enter, and then you want to turn it on. So right now what's highlighted is the off feature, so I want to turn it on. So I'm just going to press enter, and now it has switched to on. I want that first graph there. That's the default one. That's your scatter plot, so that's what we want. And the L1 and L2 tells us where we're going to be putting our data. The x values go in L1, the y values go in L2. So now to enter the data into your calculator, this should be familiar to you, although I know we haven't done it in a couple weeks. You want to hit the stat key, that's 2 over from the alpha key. Okay, and we're going to edit. We're going to put data in and change some data, so we're editing. So you just want to press enter on edit. Now you might have data in there from the last time you used this, and that is fine. Let me show you how to clear it out. You want to go use your arrow keys to go up to L1. You want to highlight it. Do not press delete. If you press delete, you're going to delete the whole list, and you don't want to do it. You just want to clear the data out of the list. So once L1 is highlighted, go ahead and hit clear, and then press enter, and it'll just clear the data out. Okay, do the same thing in L2. Arrow up so L2 is highlighted. Press clear and press enter, and you'll clear the data out of L2. Now we're going to go ahead and insert all of this data into our calculator. The cost is dependent on the diameter, so the diameter is our x values, the cost is our y values. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put in the diameter in L1. You should be doing the same. And then you can go ahead, arrow over to L2, and put in the cost values in L2. Once you have all of that in, then what you are going to do, there are a series of steps here that you need to make sure you follow very carefully, otherwise you're going to get an error. And if you guys can work a smartphone, you can work a graphing calculator. You are going to hit the Stat key. You are going to arrow over to the Calc menu. This is where it'll actually do our calculations for us. If you see option 5 says quad reg, that means quadratic regression. That's what we want. You can either arrow down to option 5 and press enter, or you can just press 5, either one. From here, we're going to do a series of 3 different commands. The first thing is we have to tell which list we're in. So we're going to hit second 1 to get L1 to come up, and then comma, and then second L2, and then comma again. So far we've told the calculator, look in L1 and L2 for the data, and now I want the calculator to store this in an equation for us, and I'll show you why in a minute. So here's what you do to do that. You're going to hit the vars key, okay? If you see you see the blue apps key, it's 2 over from that blue apps key, or purple, or whatever color your apps key is. Okay, so you're going to hit the vars key. You will arrow over to Y vars and press enter on function. And then we're going to store our equation in Y1, so we're going to press enter again. So this is what your screen should look like. If you need to stop and rewind to go through that again, go ahead and go through it again. But this is what your screen should look like. Once it looks like this, then press enter, and you'll see your data. So you can actually go ahead and write out the equation based on that. Okay? You have your equation then would be, I know my calculator just disappeared, but let me tell you what your equation would be. It'd be 41, sorry guys, 41 x squared. I think if you round to the 10th place, that should be good enough. 100th place, 2.41 x squared. You'll see the b value there is negative 21.56. So then I will have negative 21.56x. And then our c value was 67.637, so I'm going to round that up to 67.64. Okay, plus 67.64. That is our quadratic model. That's the equation that goes with our data. Okay? Now, the second part of this is asking us to estimate the cost of the pool with a diameter of 8 feet. The reason that we went ahead and put that Y1 in there is so that we can go to the table and figure out what that value is. Before I do that, I want to take note of a couple of other things. Remember when we did the linear regression, we had that R value, and we said the closer that was to 1, the closer our data fit a straight line. In this case, because it's a quadratic model, it's R squared. And you'll see here that this R squared value is really, really, really close to 1. So our data is really, really, really close to all being on that curve if you were to plot it. Okay, so that's all that means. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to answer this other part of my question that they're asking me. Use the model to estimate the cost of the pool with a diameter of 8 feet. You have 2 options here. You can either plug 8 into this equation, or you can go to the table. And let me show you how to do both of those. If you first go to the table, you can hit second graph to get to the table. And the reason you can see this is because in that last part where you put L1, comma L2, comma Y1, that stored all of the data into this table for you. And all you have to do is scroll down to where it says 8, and that will tell you. It's about $49.54. I'm just going to write that over here. It came out to be $49.54. Okay, based on that table, that's what it is. If the diameter is 8 feet, then that is your cost. Another way that you can do it if you want to, it's entirely up to you how you want to do it. You can actually plug 8 into this equation, and you can do it very, very easily because you already have that equation stored in your calculator. If you go to the home screen, so hit second mode to get to the home screen. Now, all I want to do is pull up that Y1 again. So I hit vars, over to Y-vars, enter on function, and then enter on Y1 because that's where my equation is. And then I'm just going to say I want you to evaluate it when x is 8, and you press enter, and you'll notice you get the same thing. So those are two different ways that you can do that. Okay, so just be aware that there's a couple different ways to get the information that you need, but it's all in the calculator and it's right there for you. Okay? All right, let's go on to another example here. Here is our other example. I want you to go ahead and we'll read through it and then we'll talk about what we need to do. Let's see, we've got 16 millimeter films and diameter of the film on the reel. Find a quadratic model for the reel length given the diameter of the film. Okay, so reel length given the diameter. So these are the two columns that we're looking to use. Notice that it doesn't say anything about the runtime, but it says to use the diameter to figure out the reel length. So I want you to go ahead and do that right now. I'm just going to pause the video so I can put the data in my calculator as well. Okay folks, I'm back. I just went ahead and put my data in my calculator. L1 was my diameter, L2 was my reel length. So again, here are my steps. I'm going to stat, going over to calc, going down to 5 or entering in 5. I'm doing a quadratic regression. L1, comma, second 2 to get L2 to come up, comma, vars, arrow to Y-vars, enter on function, enter on Y1. Okay, go ahead and press enter and you'll see your data is right there. So your equation would be y equals 14.30 squared minus 112.41 plus 430.11. Okay, you'll see that that R value is not quite as close as the other one was, but still very, very, very close to 1. The second part here says to estimate the reel length for an 8-inch diameter film. You can get it from the table. Go down to where x is 8. You'll see it's 446.38. Again, the other way to do that would be to press vars, go over to Y-vars, press enter again, put in your value in parentheses and press enter and it'll give you that number again. Those are the two ways that you can do it. Get your data from your calculator. Use that calculator to your advantage. That's what it's there for. Okay, so there's a lot of calculator use in this. On your assignment, please make sure you make a note of this. You do not need to do problem 1B as in boy and 1C as in Charlie. Okay, you can skip B and C, but you do need to do the rest of problem 1 and do all of problem 2. Okay, I know you guys can handle that, but you are doing, you are making sure you do both of those problems, but do not do 1B and 1C. Okay, have a great day, everybody. I'll see you in class tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.